We knew for weeks, for months, ever since it was announced, really, that the Echo series, something that nobody was asking for, something no one wanted, and quite frankly, something that a lot of people had never even heard about, no pun intended, before they announced it, that the Echo series was going to be a complete and total disaster for Marvel. Then it came out. They knew it was so bad. They dropped all 5 episodes at the same time, put it not only on Disney Plus, but also on Hulu. But immediately in the aftermath, you saw not only a lot of the kind of mainstream publications saying things like, oh, it's just so incredible that it's so diverse. There's so much representation with a female Native American amputee who also is deaf. That's all they could fucking talk about. But then we got some big headlines from Deadline. Marvel's Echo premieres at #1 on both Disney Plus and Hulu. Right here, Marvel's Echo hits top of Disney Plus and Hulu chart with impressive debut. Now, keep in mind, Disney revealed no actual numbers. They just made an announcement that, hey, the first day we put a new Marvel show out on 2 streaming services, it was the most watched thing on that day. Wow, so incredibly impressive. But I think we all remember what the headlines were for something like Secret Invasion when that came out. We almost always get these Samba TV numbers for these Marvel shows. We didn't get one for Echo. Very strange that they decided not to release that. Something that not only was released on Disney Plus, but was released on Hulu as well. Hulu has like 50 million subscribers, by the way. And if you recall, Secret Invasion was a complete nightmare. Less than 1 million people tuned in to the premiere over the first 5 or 6 days, the second lowest in history. Well, when you actually look at how it stacked up against a lot of other things, Secret Invasion on that debut week, it was still the second most streamed thing across all streaming service in terms of how many households tuned in. This is a Samba TV chart for all the way back on July 5th. Even though Samba TV didn't release the actual hard numbers, we do still have a big chart for Echo. And it's interesting. It's very interesting that despite it being on Disney Plus and Hulu, not only is it not the most streamed thing on Disney Plus, it barely cracks the top 10. Echo season 1. Now, we don't have any numbers to go along with this because they've refused to release those, and so has Disney. But we do know that it's enough to barely crack the fucking top 10.
So enough games.
For something that they claimed is a massive hit. They claimed it was watched by so many people on Disney Plus and Hulu. And now we see this. It's not even the top streamed thing on its own fucking streaming service for the entire week of its release.
What did you do?
Well, this is why they hate people like us, because people like us actually can call out the bullshit with their manipulation and all of their tactics. Because, yeah, most people are just going to sit there and read the headline. Oh, it's the #1 thing on 2 different streaming services. Well, that sounds really good, Ryan, doesn't it? It sounds really good. It almost sounds good, like, especially if you were a hater of G&G, it sounds good to say that our subreddit got banned for horrible things, right? Yeah, it's interesting until you actually start looking into things and see that there's more to the story, more to it. And again, do you know anybody who's watching Echo? Really? Like anybody? I'm not outside of us.
No,
which I'm not.
I can't say I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even people that have your day jobs, like, are you going to your day job and it's lunchtime? Anybody come up to you going, hey, did you see that latest? Did you see Echo, man? How epic it was.
Really
no
she
one.
Girl bossed at the end with her other girl boss ancestors.
Yes!
That was really empowering to me as an indigenous amputee that can't hear as well.
Yeah. So,
but that should tell you, right? The fact that Secret Invasion, one of the lowest fucking things in terms of viewership that we've seen for an MCU show, that debuts #2, even though it was horrifically bad. It was considered a flop with a few people that actually tuned in. Now, this can change. There can be different demand for different shows depending on what time things are released. But the very fact that that's in there at #2 and it was one of the biggest failures we've seen, and Echo comes out, it's touted as a success. They won't give us the actual numbers, but it's barely hanging on in the top 10 against some things that people have kind of never fucking heard of. That's embarrassingly bad. And even this chart alone is showing that it's not the top stream thing on its own streaming service. The Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the the release of the 6th or 7th episode of Percy Jackson, that's been coming out for the past month and a half, that is more watched than Echo.
Truly a disaster. Another Marvel disaster. And again, congratulations. This is exactly what we said was going to happen. It's going to be literally irrelevant within the next couple of days.
Let's go.
And the only people talking about it are going to be us, because we're going to be roasting the hell out of it, because it's way too fun to roast this nonsense.
I ask you, who's the monster?
So congratulations, Marvel. Another failure. Heading into a pretty disastrous 2024 for Disney.
To your final lesson.